journal during my pregnancy. I journaled every week. And for some of you who were talking to me, I had a really difficult pregnancy. I've always been afraid of being pregnant for some reason, and didn't even know if I wanted to be a mom, to be honest, and just decided to let the universe decide for me. And then when I got pregnant, after a year of not preventing pregnancy, I actually didn't even know if I was really happy at the beginning because I was like finally doing the thing that was the scariest to me. Although to be fair, wasn't scared of being a mom, just was sort of scared of like the physical manifestation of like bringing a human being into the world. So I'm gonna read from this like a little bit of a journal, and that's it. So I wrote beginning of week 11. Today was a really hard day, but I did a good thing. The line between pregnancy fatigue and depression is a very blurry a cloud. It's really, really hot outside, that mid-July hot. So I'm trying not to go out until nighttime because it makes me feel weak. Today, I could only eat 2 thin slices of the pizza, and I am still hungry. I will try some fruit soon. So the good thing I did, the brave thing I did, this is an internal family systems exercise. It's a kind of like a uh, it's like a focused meditation in which you try to focus on parts of yourself that hold different emotions and feelings. And it's sort of like within you, there are players on a stage that are playing out basically just different roles from different stages of your life to protect you. And then it's a type of therapy where you try to identify and address the different like versions of yourself. And then by doing that, you can kind of resolve the tensions or at least gain some perspective on what's happening inside of you. So it's where you find that part of yourself, you name that part, and you ask it to show its face. So after being nauseated for so long, being just so fearful, really down, I was like, I really have to do something about this. So I sat on the couch, I closed my eyes, and then I'll return to the journal entry. It probably took me 10 or 15 minutes. I was trying to name my fear of pregnancy. What is the fear? What does it look like? It didn't want to show for so long, but when it started creeping out, it was truly terrifying. It was like a shadow, but a sinewy, willowy, feather-like black, so tall, sliding out of the left wall into lateral sight. It moved like a big spider, like a Louise Bourgeois sculpture, and I felt connected to Louise. She was able to give my terror form. So it slinked and was black and moving and didn't want to be seen, and I almost didn't want to see it either. It looked like a drawing. It was like a spider, but also a black Christmas tree contracting and expanding like a jellyfish or an umbrella. Getting a little bit much here, but I thought maybe this is why there is so much black in my paintings. The anxiety lives in the dark. The fear hides in the shadows. Why is there fear in the shadows? It's truly charcoal black. So that was Louise Bourgeois, who has been my favorite artist for so long, even before. I didn't really know why. And I later found out that she calls these giant sculptures, spider sculptures, maman, which means mother. Uh, and that I had no idea, which is sort of wild. And I had made this painting. This is like I'll only show you 2 of my paintings. I made this painting a really long time ago, and on the left side there's this really dark figure, and like I was sitting on a couch and I did this meditation, and but I think it was in my painting, and I didn't realize that I had done that until many years later. And so let's see, I needed the fear to take form. And I think the fear also needed to take a form because it wanted to be seen. So it became an art. It became a stone sculpture. I don't know if Louise has made this one, but it became like a house. It had a rounded roof with windows etched in the front, and then it had shoes. This is a Louise Bourgeois sculpture. This is also Louise Bourgeois drawings. Uh, Hold on. This is totally going out of order. Oops, 1 second. There we go. This is actually a Laurie Simmons sculpture, who's a bit younger than Louise Bourgeois, but still a contemporary. I don't know if Louise had made this one, but it became like a house. It had shoes, high heel shoes, a tall house with shoes, but the sculpture was child high. I put my hand on the sculpture to feel it, to calm it. It felt like stone. I tried to warm the stone. I stayed like this for a long time. I was so grateful that the stone was no longer a black spider. So then in time, the sculpture became like child, a girl, playing with something on the floor, something like the Charles Ray sculpture of the boy with the car. And the girl didn't exactly see me, but she was also like a sculpture, and there she was. And after that, my fear went away. It literally completely went away. Um, and I got excited about being pregnant. And I still was really sick, but it felt like it was for something. And and then Mario and I got to travel in Europe and I got to walk and I started feeling a lot better. And then I got dizzy. And I basically think because I'm 40 and whatever my genetic makeup is, I just like checked all the boxes for many uh, sort of just maladies, but ended up being wonderful. And baby came 6 weeks early. And when he came, had been working on this very large painting. If you guys know, this is Degas Dancer. And when I was really little, I always wanted to be a ballerina. I never did it, but I always wanted to. And right above my current art studio, or below, there's a ballerina studio, like little girls dancing. And so I found this picture of her, of a small ballerina who was also actually, I think, a sex worker. Like they picked these like poor children to pose for artists. And so even though she looks like this sort of innocent, perfect child, she's also experiencing like a lot of division and like coping and it's like a dark and light at the same time. But I did this collage where I made her walk, or at least to me, she looks like she's walking. So to have her animated, and also I think about in my work about how you can have multiple realities in the same moment. You can have multiple versions of yourself, and yeah, so that inspired me to print the image onto some transparent fabric. And then I was working during my pregnancy on figuring out how to put these pieces together with different colors underneath, how they would animate, and how legible something really needs to be or not be. I've been slowly working over the years into pushing my work into more legibility. And I make the work as a basically just like as a probing into my own subconscious. And that's also sort of why I don't show my work very much because I feel very vulnerable about like there's so much about problem solving and so much less about creating a product that I think at some point I'll show them, but I really make them for myself. But Louise Bourgeois and these other artists and this experience showed me that even though when you do something for yourself, whatever it is, as private and as weird as it is, it might become something like metaphor can be transmitted to other human beings across time, across space, across history. And like when you do the private, personal things for yourself that are like the most vulnerable, then someone else can actually access it. And I'm so grateful to Louise Bourgeois for like engaging with her own fear in really intense ways because it actually got me through my pregnancy. And uh and so this is I just think that in this time where like politics is totally crazy and we've lived through so much with the pandemic and we all need togetherness that I just wanted to share how making work and seeing work has been super sustaining and has created this own kind of quiet psychic community and that I appreciate that all of you are sharing in it. And then my final slide is that Calvin came with me to the studio for the first time a couple weeks ago, and he slept, which I couldn't believe, and took naps, and I nursed him, and we went back and forth doing that for about 4 hours, and I think it's maybe one of the best days I've ever had, like in my whole life. So, yeah, that was it.